Hello, my name is Aaron, and I wrote a book. And so tonight, I'm going to read you a little bit of the first chapter. I'm not going to read you the full first chapter because it'll give away too much. So I'm going to give you just a little bit, and then hopefully that's enough to kind of get you motivated to be interested in purchasing my book on January 15th, 2024, which is next Monday on the Amazons. Links will be down there. So I don't have my copy with me. I have to read it off my online, so that's why I'm looking over this way. It's not that I don't want to look at you and give you my attention, my focus. It's that my story's over here. Okay, all right, here we go. Chapter 1. When do you figure the snow'll stop falling? I looked up from the espresso bar and chuckled at May. Let's see. It's April in Seven Falls, Miss Bonham. Won't really warm up till next month. I returned my attention to the glossy pages of my magazine while the elderly matron of my town huffed. May was 94 years old and knew just about damn near everything, except for the weather. The woman was a political nut, watched C-SPAN daily with her equally intelligent husband, and spent the rest of her time harassing our local librarians for new materials. Just because you took one of them fancy classes down in Bozeman doesn't make you the town forecaster, Mr. Crawford. She did not look up from her dog-eared copy of the second book in the Harry Potter series. I resisted the urge to roll my eyes. To answer May's allegations, she was correct in one regard. I did take a weather and climate class at the State University in Bozeman, but that's it, really. May was known to exaggerate. I didn't pretend to be the town forecaster, well, except for Saturday mornings when I took over the local radio broadcast from 6 in the morning until noon. I admit I took my duties seriously. She may have a point. Just don't tell her I said that. You going to have Ramon in the kitchen tomorrow? May asked as she turned a page, her glasses perched on the very end of her nose. If he doesn't show up, you should probably check the skies for a fourth horseman. May Bonham's eyes left the story of the boy who lived and locked onto mine with extreme prejudice. Mr. Peter Rodney Robert Crawford, you know how I feel about invoking the religious. She turned her head. You'll be in my prayers tonight. She turned a page and returned to her novel. I love Jesus just as much as you do, May. I think the Lord is open to some joking around about the Armageddon. She gave me a long look, marked her page with a bookmark, and shook her head. I'd sit here and argue with you, but I've got a feast waiting for me. Walter's been taking some classes on cooking. I opened my mouth to speak, but those grandmother's eyes narrowed, so I chuckled and put my hands up in surrender. I give. You win. She gave a sly smile. I always do. Give your sister a hug for me. The door slammed shut behind her as a few flakes from the intensifying blizzard fluttered to the ground. I did a sweep through the lobby, mopped down my counters, and straightened the condiment bar before I checked the clock. 9:15. I returned to my place behind the espresso bar, picking my magazine back up and returning to my place in an intriguing article that said the Gilmore Girls was slated to return to television screens later that year. That'll be the day, I muttered to myself. And then she arrived. She was soaked. I don't mean she had some snow on her. This woman was dripping water from every part of her body. I gave her another look and realized she was in shorts, a t-shirt, and a very tight-knitted coat. I frowned. Hello? She made her way to a table and gingerly sat. A moment of silence passed before she spoke again. Why isn't the music playing? I felt my frown lessen. The music? Her voice swerved into an annoyed tone. Yes, the music. I shrugged. It shorted out last night. A leak in the roof in the wrong place. All this damn snow is keeping the repair guy away. She stared ahead and absent-mindedly checked her phone. Why are you here? Trying not to make the girl too self-conscious for bringing half the damn lake into my diner with her, I picked up my magazine to read about how this starlet cheated on her recently wedded husband, and he went on to record an album all about the pain. It was quite fascinating. I decided she was due another shrug. Town's got a weird rule about having at least one store open during a calamity. Something about having a port in the storm. I drew the short straw on this one. Lord knows I'd rather be home and in bed with all hell breaking loose out there. She remained at the table. Can I get you something to drink? I don't have any money. Another shrug for me. I'm really good at shrugging. Olympic champ. Consider it on the house. You're my only customer since noon. Well, aside from May, but I felt her eyes finally focus on me with something that resembled concern for my mental state. Anyway, I don't think anyone sane will be going out in that disaster tonight. She returned to stare at the intricate woodwork of the table. I tried again. What'll you have? She was shaken from her stupor. Large, hot chocolate with heavy cream and extra whip. I chuckled as I slipped the steaming pitcher up on the bar. You sure about that? I don't want to be responsible for a diabetic coma in this weather. I mean, there was a snarl from the table. There was a snarl from the table. Just make me the damn drink. Sixth graders have more tact, is what I wanted to hiss at her. Instead, I chose to sigh. Undiabetic coma on the way. I took great care in creating her beverage. It was clear she wasn't on an even emotional plane. Hell's bells, she'd snarled at me in my own coffee shop. I threw more whipped cream in the cup than probably is legal in the state of Montana. I layered mocha drizzle in the cup and on the whip. I glanced up and found myself very distracted. The long knitted coat was off, and what stood before me was a young woman in a midriff-bearing t-shirt, jean shorts, and Chuck Taylors. A woman who wears a pair of Converse All-Stars is head and shoulders above anyone else. I quickly shook the distraction loose and placed the cup on the handoff plane. Your hot chocolate's ready, boss. The phone on the wall rang loud and clear, and I bounded over to answer it. Thanks for calling Crawford's Coffee. This is Peter. How can I help you? Please, for the love of all that is holy and sacred, tell me you closed. Hey, sis, my sister. 24 and legally insane in most countries. And no, I'm still open. Well, close up shop. I'm hungry. She was going to have to take some lessons from Walter. I wish I could, kiddo. You know the rules. Port in the storm and all. Fine. Did you hear there's a car on the Highwayman Bridge? Gidget almost had a fender bender in the damn snow. My frown returned. No, I didn't hear that. Who'd think that was a good idea? She cackled loudly into the phone. Ha ha ha! Maybe it's the Highwayman! Maybe he's killing people! I cringed. She had a thing for horror movies. Obsession was a better word. That's not funny, sis. She started humming the Jaws theme song into the phone. And I loved that movie. I'm not laughing. You know, Jaws, The Revenge is a crap movie. You're a monster. I've got a customer, and I'm sure you have better things to do than call me and break my heart in two. Whatever could you mean by better things? You're using that tone again. I bit my lip. She was in rare form tonight. I'm not using that tone again, and before you ask, no, I'm not making faces. You're a terrible liar. All right, sister of mine, that's where I hang up. See you tonight. I slammed the phone down and sighed deeply. A car on the Highwayman Bridge was never a great sign. I now had a suspicion how the young woman arrived in my shop. My customer took note of the slam and the sigh. Sisters are the worst, aren't they? Especially when they break up with their boyfriends every week. She offered a weak smile. Oh, yeah. I shook my head. I wish one of them would stick. It's not like they're bad guys. I mean, I background check every single one of them before they even stepped into the house. She's 24 for crying out loud. Yeah. I cringed. I have this thing where I just talk and talk until someone either tells me to shut it or becomes so indifferent that I belatedly realize I'm no longer interesting. Mostly annoying or weird. Perhaps a little of both? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to, yeah. No, it's fine. It's nothing to do with your sister. It's just been a day. I closed my thrilling magazine and nodded towards her. You want to talk about it? I don't want to bother you. I gestured to the empty coffee shop. You're my only customer. I've cleaned my counters so well I could eat off of them. My machine's been washed so many times it could be sold as brand new. My floors are literally sparkling from the number of things I've mopped. My floors are literally sparkling from the number of times I've mopped. For my sanity and for the safety of my coffee shop, you should probably talk about it with me. I'm liable to start wiping you down. I don't know. I threw my bar towel on the counter, walked out from behind the counter, slipped off my apron, and flipped the chair opposite her around and sat. I've worked here 5 years, bought the place out, put my name on it. I've dealt with small children, big children, and more. I have patience that makes even the best parents envious. I can wait you out. And trust me, you're not going back out there. The storm of the century is having its way with our fair city and her highways and byways. If it helps, my name's Peter Crawford. Crawford's Coffee is mine. I put my hand out. The woman stared at me. She took a drink of her hot chocolate. No judgment? No judgment. She reached across the table and shook my hand. Jill Miller. I'm going to regret this. She took a deep breath and said, You know the bridge? I leaned over the back of the chair. You mean the bridge down the way? The Highwayman Bridge? The most beautiful bridge in the entire county and beyond? You've heard of it. I was born in this little hamlet. It's a point of pride around here. The fact that it spans an unremarkable lake that is mostly dead, aside from the never-ending rumors of a lake monster every few years. They don't highlight that in the brochures. You're not from around here, are you? What gave that away? You're not dressed for winter in the Musselshell Valley, and those fashions are more of a big city kind of thing. Bozeman, recent transplant from Portland, Oregon. So what's a big city girl doing in a small town world? She stared at me. I moved on. So why are you here? Now, I'm not going to tell you the rest because the rest is the stuff where things could get even more interesting than they already have. And I want you to be teased. I want you to be pulled in. I want you to want to read more. On January 15th, 2024, 7 days, a Seven Falls story becomes a reality. And you're going to hopefully buy it and read it and enjoy it and tell all your friends to buy it because you think it's a good story. So the countdown continues. Thanks for listening. I know this video is a little longer than normal, but hopefully that was a tantalizing entry into what could be the next great story that you read here in 2024. My name's Aaron. This has been my vlog. And if nobody's told you lately, I love you and I like you just the way you are. We'll see you tomorrow.